The biggest question, I think, that people are asking today is how will we know that we're in the end times? How will we know that we're in the days that lead to the coming of the Messiah and to the great Holocaust that's to precede it?
The book of Revelations focuses on a 7-year period of history which will culminate in the Holocaust of Armageddon. But before the 7-year countdown can begin, there are definite political alignments that the prophets mention and which we should examine in closer detail. According to the prophet Ezekiel, shortly after the restoration of the Jewish people in the land of Israel, a deadly enemy will arise to its uttermost north. Ezekiel identifies the northern commander as Gog, of the land of Magog. He was also prince of an ancient people called Rosh, or Rus. By careful research, biblical scholars have been able to trace and identify these people as the ancestors of the dreaded Scythians. Greek and Roman historians speak of the Scythians as a barbaric people who lived in the northern regions above the Caucasus Mountains. These barbarians are generally recognized as the ancestors of the people who inhabit modern Russia. In the light of the rise of Russia as a world power, Ezekiel's prophecy is incredible. It coincides almost exactly with the rebirth of the nation of Israel, and it is totally accurate in regard to Russian ambitions in the Middle East.
Soviet objectives in the Middle East are to increase their geopolitical influence, to tighten their stranglehold on the oil supply of the West, to have access to the warm water ports to which they have always aspired, and to be able to complete the encirclement of communist China.
Ezekiel goes on to identify a second power bloc that will be allied to Russia. He says that Egypt will head a confederation of Arab and black African states against the restored nation of Israel. As we note Russia's military presence in the Middle East, Ezekiel's prophecy reads like a blueprint of the current situation.
If you read the various prophecies about Armageddon and the end days, and you're aware also of the realities of the situation in the Middle East, it certainly does not look out of place. It doesn't say what age, it doesn't say when, but it does give you a ratio of forces, a given political situation, which, when we read it in the context of situation even today, does begin to appear familiar.
In yet another prophecy concerned with political alignments in the end days, John foretells the rise of modern China. The rise of China coincides with the rise of Russia as a world power. And both these developments coincide with the return of the Jewish nation to Israel. In a detailed and graphic description, John tells us that in the end times, the Chinese will bring an army of 200 million men across the Euphrates River and into the Middle East. Military sources now estimate the size of the People's Army as 200 million men under arms, the exact figure predicted in Revelations. Could all this be coincidence? Or did the ancient prophets know more than we do today?
We have now identified 3 of the 4 great power blocks that will be involved in the events that lead to Armageddon. This leaves us to discover the 4th entity, the confederation of 10 nations that will be led by the Antichrist.
In one of the most dramatic passages in the Old Testament, Daniel had a vision of 4 beasts emerging from the sea. Each beast represented a great empire of the future, the Babylonian, the Persian, the Greek, and the Roman Empire. He was told that each of these would rise and fall, but then out of the remnants of the Roman Empire, a 10-nation confederacy would emerge, And this revival of the Roman Empire would be led by the Antichrist. For centuries, there's been conjecture about this prophecy. Some thought that Charlemagne might be the one to rebuild the empire. Then came Napoleon, but neither could fulfill the exact conditions of the prophecy.